I keep going down this rabbit hole with Transformer statues. Today we have a massive one in the house. This is Optimus Prime, Age of Extinction, Ultimate Edition. Let's build him, let's review him, let's check it out. He's assembled, kind of. A lot of went down during that assembly, so I actually had to wait until the next day to film this right here. Hence the hat, hence a little bit different shirt. It's early in the morning. Really quick before we get started, we're doing some giveaways. We're giving away these two Venom statues. Make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Also, every month we give away a gift packet on the 15th of the month. All you have to do is comment on a video. Any video you comment on will enter you in the contest. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. But let's dive into this Optimus Prime statue. Now this is made by Prime 1 Studios, no relation. This is non-scaled. Most people think it's about 1/10 scale. And the normal retail on him is $2,000. I was really lucky though. I got him during their winter sale for $1,450 shipped to the United States using their economy shipping. Took about 6 months, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But I was super excited when I opened him. I actually unboxed him live for Extreme YouTube members. If you want to see what that is, check this out right here. And they saw all the problems that developed, and we're going to talk about those during design, but obviously you can see right here, he's not being displayed with the base. That is not intentional. So this is Optimus Prime from the Michael Bay films. This is from the 4th film, Age of Extinction, just like the Galvatron piece I reviewed a few days ago. You can actually check that out right here. And they've done a few different things with him. They actually made this their Ultimate Edition, and he has tons and tons of different switch outs. We could honestly make a 10-minute video just about the switch outs. And one of those switch outs are actually what they call the Night Arms. So I assume that means it's actually from the 5th movie, because they do have a 5th movie version of him that's very similar. But we're going to look at all that during design. And the review is going to be a little bit different today. We're still going to use the traditional categories, so let's just start with concept. And sometimes when you have a ton of switch outs like you do here, the concept can slightly change, but we'll try and look at it anyway. So while you can't see them on the base, we are going to look at close-ups of the base, and it's your traditional Michael Bay Prime 1 Studios Transformer base. It's huge. There's a few different, there's actually some greenery on it, believe it or not, like some vegetation growing, but we'll look at that up close. He's standing there in a museum pose like all of them are. He is ready to battle. No matter what switch outs you have, for the most part, it looks like he's ready to be in a huge battle against Galvatron and Lockdown, the main adversaries in the movie. He has the seed right at the bottom. An alternate portrait display, and he has swords and guns and shields, and he just looks badass. One thing I really like about this version of Optimus Prime, while it's not close to the Generation 1 and you don't see a lot of the semi parts, he's very flashy. He just looks really cool. As I unboxed him, I really noticed that, and I like it a lot, to be honest with you. But so many inner workings, and once again, Prime 1 didn't fail on the paint and sculpt. But the concept, to be honest with you, other than the tons of switch outs, it's kind of boring. I don't really think it's amazing. I don't think that it blows me away. It doesn't blow me away like the Jet Power Prime that I've reviewed that I have. That's probably my favorite Transformer. The review of that is here. So let's give the concept a 3 out of 5. I think it's a very nice concept. It's nothing amazing. They almost went overboard with all the different switch outs, and honestly, this is going to be one of those times I think it's too many switch outs and it actually hurts it. So let's talk about that with design here. First of all, some horrible assembly problems, which I believe it is a QC issue with this piece only, because Prime 1 Studios is usually very good at this. Now, it was clear to me, and I talked to the people during the unboxing and assembly, that QC was not done on this statue. I do not believe that this statue was put together in the factory. And if you think about it, when the statues are this big, I don't think that can be done, honestly, when you have 1,888 of these. That's how many they made. 888 of the exclusive and 1,000 of the normal edition. Now, the exclusive includes the sword here and the seed at the bottom. But let's look at all the different switch outs, because this will take a while. First, just the easy part is he has two portraits. He has a non-battle portrait, so his mouth is not covered up. And what I really like about this is they added another bust display for that extra portrait. Little Autobot emblem. Nothing fancy, but neat that this came with it. And then the portrait with his battle mask down. And honestly, I thought I would display the other portrait, but I like this one better. And we'll look at him closer with paint and sculpt. Now the next switch out option is actually his shield right here. You can actually display it on his back. Check this out. Or you can remove it, and there is a key holder that goes in place. Now, if you wanted to as well, you could also display his shield on his right arm of his normal version arms, which we're going to talk about in a second. He has two versions of arms. Here's the first version of the arm. This is what comes with the statue. It matches the statue. And he has specific hands, as you can see right here. Here's a hand with that normal version. And then he has what are called knight arms. So these are a little bit different, still have the traditional Optimus colors. I believe these are from the Last Knight statue. And these hands are different as well. They don't have kind of those brass knuckles, a little bit more flat. And some of the stuff we're about to go over can interchange and some cannot. So I'm going to show you kind of the individual close-ups, and then we'll also look at what they look like as a whole. But with his regular arms, you can display his badass gun. Only on his right hand. Or you can display, as you saw a second ago, just a closed fist hand. Let's just stick on the right. Here is his knight arm. You can actually put in a sword. Now his right hand can only hold the sword if you're doing the knight arms. It's getting complicated, I know. Then on his right arm, you can also do the Energon sword right here. And this doesn't matter whether it's the knight arm or the regular arm. And you're going to find this exact same thing on the left arm. The Energon sword can go in any arm on any side. But now let's look at the left arm. For the regular arm, not the knight arm, you can display that same sword with the Age of Extinction hand. And it doesn't hold that well, and it is movable, which is nice. Or you can display the knight arm and have an open palm or a closed fist. Then also he has a closed fist with the regular arm as well. So here's a few different shots of the different display options, and ironically, when I was looking at pictures, some of these I thought looked stupid, but now that I have them displayed in person, they look really good. I think there's a lot of good different display options. I think I may go back and forth. Some of these, especially the hands that aren't holding anything, will probably go in the box and not come back out. And same with the shield. I didn't know if I liked the shield on the back better. I thought that would be initial, but it looks pretty good on the arm as well. But it comes to the point where I think it's almost too many display options. But some of the engineering, there are definitely issues. Like I said, with the giant sword hand here, it kind of falls. It doesn't hold straight up. It goes back and forth too much, so I think that's an issue. But the big issues, where I had all the assembly issues, let's talk about those. First of all, he will not fit in the base. So the base has a male peg sticking up, male key and peg, and it will not insert into his foot. I spent about 20 minutes on it, got 2 different injuries. It looks like the hole is drilled incorrectly in the foot. Huge issue. I'm going to display him without the base for now, but we'll figure that out. Next issue is the key holder that goes into the back of the statue here. Would not come out. It would not come out. I know I was pulling the right thing.
That's what she said.
So I eventually had to take some pliers to it, and the second you touch pliers to a polystone or resin statue, it breaks. So that happened with the key holder right here. These arms right here are incredibly difficult to get in. You have to push incredibly hard, which means when you remove them, they're incredibly hard to get out. The knight arms go in fine. So I think that's another reason that there are too many switch outs, because you try and make too many different things work and it creates engineering problems for you. This is a pretty big shock for me, because this is not normal of Prime 1 Studios. Most of the time everything goes together very slick, very few issues. So while all these awesome switch outs are good, I think there are a lot of limitations with them. Also, one thing I would have really liked to see, if you're making some last night arms, what would have been awesome if it could have done one of the last night poses. Check out this piece right here. This is a statue that can hold the sword down. I think this pose is awesome. I'm on the lookout for this guy someday, specifically in the gold version. You have so many different pose opportunities and you don't have that on this. And I understand that was probably so they could sell more Transformer statues, but I think that's a negative. So I think for the first time ever, I'm going to give the Prime 1 Studios a U for design. It's ugly. It's 2 out of 5. Too many things went wrong. Now paint and sculpt is where I'm going to mix the review up a little bit. I'm not necessarily going to go from bottom to top, but I'm going to kind of show you guys some close-ups and the highlights of everything that's going on. And let's just start with this seed down here. This looks okay. It's not needed. It's clearly not an exclusive or bus. It is for the Energon sword, I think, which we'll look at. Reminds me of the same base that the Megatron head was on. It is a cool little Easter egg. Now with Optimus, the first thing I want to look at is the exterior car parts here. He has the classic red and blue racing stripes. Looks very cool. And what's interesting about this statue as you go throughout it, some of it is shinier than others. Sometimes the red is really popping, sometimes it's not. And then some of these kind of have some wear and battle damage with some black shading on it. I think that helps vary it up. If it was too bright all over, which I think it's borderline on that, I think it would look too much like a toy. So I like how they did it. They dirtied it up, and that makes it a little more realistic as well. But it looks really sharp. I like that they stuck with the colors. It makes it clear that it is Optimus Prime. And let's look at some of the parts in between that. So this is where you see some of the engine parts of the semi-truck. Now you don't see the traditional parts like the windshields and the doors like you do in the older version of him, or you do the Jet Power version or the one from Dark Side of the Moon. But there's still a lot of inner workings and details. You see some shocks and pistons and hoses, and most of it is this silver and gold color. And they did the same thing. Some of it is very clean and shiny, and some of it has some shading on it, and it mixes really well throughout the entire statue. He does have some alien writing on him. You see it on his legs, and then also on some of his weapons. And I want to look at the Energon sword really quick here. I'm always not a fan of these because they look too corny. I understand they're supposed to be a glowing energy sword, but this looks all right. I'm going to display it with this. I think it looks good. If they'd been maybe more translucent and lit up, I think that would be nice. The gun looks really cool. The blue color is a little bit lighter than most of Optimus's parts, which I like, but a lot of detail went into this, the hoses and pipes. Check out the sword here really quick. More alien writing. The sword's almost too big. I understand it is accurate to the movie. Has a maroon color on it. Here's some more shots of him. You just have a ton of stuff going on, from his exhaust pipes at the top, kind of the layering on his torso with a little Autobot symbol. And these Transformers have that layering because that's how they're built. I think the way that they were constructed in the Michael Bay movies is pretty cool. It's as realistic as you would think for a Transformer, something you never would have thought of, 40 years ago growing up with these guys. I like the shield a lot. It's a mix between medieval and high tech. The colors on it, you see some more alien writing. Let's look at his portrait here, and as you see, it actually has a light up feature. So very similar Optimus Prime face. His face didn't change too much throughout the movie. His helmet did a little bit, but not much. Some more of that layering, not as much as the previous versions of him. Mix between the grays and the blues. And then here's the battle masked one. I really like this one. I think this is the best portrait of all the Optimus Primes I've seen. He just looks very badass. It's something about the plating on the metal on the front. So here's the base. A lot of the same elements. It's a lot darker than some of the other bases. It's more of a gray than a silver. And here you see a great shot of the top. There's some wires and hoses going on, and then you see the greenery. I'm not really getting the greenery. I understand the ties from the movie. Here's the Autobot symbol on the front. And I'm really glad that this had the male peg so I can display him without for now and figure out what's going on. That was kind of my initial plan while I'm waiting on more Moji cases anyway. So paint and sculpt, I'm just going to jump right into it. I think the paint and sculpt are a 4 out of 5. I think they did a fantastic job. It's a rail. I believe this is pretty movie accurate. Also value on this. So he's an Optimus Prime. Most of the Optimus Prime statues, even the ones that were out years ago, go for $2,000 to $4,000. I got him for brand new, $1,450 shipped. Now granted, there's some issues that need to be fixed, but that's a fantastic deal. Honestly, I'm going to give that, when that comes to a value, that's an X. It's an X of a value to get Optimus Prime. While this film wasn't very popular, this one has so many different switch outs, so many different display options, some stuff from the last night, some traditional Optimus stuff. As you can see, you can actually display him with or without the base. In my case, I don't have a choice. And overall, like most Transformer statues, this is not an X like the Jet Power is, but it is a 4 out of 5. This is a rail. It's not quite a grail. Honestly, it looks like pricing-wise, when you look at eBay on stuff, this is probably the least popular version of Optimus Prime, which is kind of crazy because he has the most switch-out options. I may have preferred the Night version a little bit more, but I wouldn't have gotten this gun, and I would have paid about $700, $800 more. So that's a no-brainer in this particular situation. Here's some close-up video for you guys to get a better look at him. So if you watched the Galvatron video, I said I would show you where this guy is displayed at. Here is the temporary display. I'm waiting on some Module cases, then they're going to go in the middle of the room, just Transformers all together. So here he is next to other two villains from that movie, Lockdown and Galvatron. So if you like this stuff, hit on that Extreme Channel logo and you can subscribe to the channel. Also, here are some other video reviews of Transformer pieces. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.